Dave and Allie, good to be with you.
Before we get into the really big stuff, since you're governor now, can you get us a Chick-fil-A in Belgrade? Is that possible?
I want Dunkin' Donuts, too.
Oh, and can it be on our drive into work? Can we work on that?
Yeah, we need a Chick-fil-A or a Cracker Barrel. That'd be awesome. We let the people send us a bunch of questions, and one of the top questions that we got for you that is on everybody's mind, obviously with COVID happening right now, are the vaccines. Can you tell us when the vaccines are going to be available in the state for folks over 75?
Yeah, so it's the question. I mean, COVID is the number one issue the state is facing. I've been getting briefings twice a week. I'm encouraged to tell you that about 50,000 people in the state of Montana have gotten their first dose of vaccine already. We're just completing all the nursing homes, long-term care facilities, frontline healthcare workers. We call those groups 1A. 1B, we shifted the directive to focus on the people that are most vulnerable, because I think the priority has to be preventing death or severe complications. Most communities in the state are moving into 1B this week. In fact, today. That doesn't mean everybody can get a vaccine, because the shipments we're getting each week continue to increase, but it's not enough for everybody. So starting this week, in most communities in the state, people over 70 years of age and people with underlying healthcare conditions can get the vaccine.
So with people that are in that group, how do they get on that list to be,
they should contact the local public health office or a local hospital. Those are the primary delivery methods. They've been communicating out, and again, they may have to wait a little bit, but over the next couple of weeks or month, they'll be able to get access to the vaccine.
Hey, was the order changed on who gets vaccines first? Because I did have a lot of folks reach out and ask about teachers, and they were under the impression that teachers got moved back on the list. Is that true?
Yeah, what happened, the original guidance from the CDC was very complicated. And originally, 1B was what they call essential workers, which is, honestly, I think a lot of people are essential. Grocery store folks, teachers. And we did change the policy. And then, honestly, the CDC changed their policy to match what we did here in Montana. And here's the change. 1B was a broad swath of people, but it didn't focus on the people that potentially were going to die. And honestly, it was going to cost lives. So we shifted the policy to 1B to focus on folks that are over 70 or have an underlying health care condition. Now, if a teacher has an underlying health care condition, this new policy means they're going to get vaccinated sooner. So that's good news.
We're talking with Governor Greg Gianforte, and let's keep it with COVID right now. You just changed some mandates across the state of Montana on Friday, and there are a few counties out there like ours that aren't going with those. What's the policy from you guys? Like, what do you have to say about that?
Well, that's up to the local officials. Nothing we did changed the authority that the local public health officials. But one of the things we realize is that this virus is not any more infectious at 10:05 p.m. than it was at 9:45 p.m. And it's incumbent on all of us to take reasonable precautions to protect our family, our loved ones, and our neighbors. That's why I'm wearing a mask. I encourage people to do it. What we did do, we rolled back the hours of restriction because it was really having a tremendous impact on local business, and we removed the capacity limits. Now, that being said, we're still encouraging people to take reasonable precautions. Separate by 6 feet. Don't wear a mask when you're in a crowded area, et cetera, et cetera. I will tell you, though, Dave and Allie, I hate these masks. And I'm looking forward to the day when I can take my mask off, throw it in the trash can, and go on with life in a safe way.
Well, it's hard to believe. We've been doing it for almost a year now.
Yeah, it's flown by.
And I will tell you this, with the availability of the vaccine and weekly shipments increasing every week, the light at the end of the tunnel is getting brighter. And I said very clearly when when the most vulnerable start to have access to the vaccine and the state legislature gives me some legislation that will protect small business and nonprofits and churches from lawsuits, we'll get rid of the mask mandate. And I hope it happens sooner rather than later.
You just mentioned the legislature. Did I see something in the news yesterday? Did the legislature, in the House, pass something about the local health boards? Did that get through?
It got through committee, and it may have gotten through the House. It'll have to go over to the other body, and then it'll come to me. We're tracking all that stuff, and we'll see what makes it to my desk.
And in that, does it mention what elected officials would potentially have a say?
There's a number of bills that we're tracking, and they address the issue in various ways. I think it's important that, we're in an unprecedented time. None of us have seen something like this in our lifetime. We just have to make sure we don't overreact. We have public health officials that are trying to do the right thing. Some people feel that they ought to be more responsible to elected officials, and those are the discussions that the legislature's having, and we'll see what makes it to my desk.
Talking with Governor Greg Gianforte, we've got the inauguration happening yesterday, and this weekend we do have troops. We've got some of the National Guard that's in Washington right now. What did you say to the troops before they left?
Well, I had a chance to see them off at Fort Harrison Saturday night. They took off around midnight. We were out there. It was about 100 folks, men and women from all over the state. And when I became your governor, and when they joined the Montana National Guard, we both swore an oath to uphold the Constitution from enemies, domestic and foreign. And here we were. They were leaving their families behind, heading off to our nation's capital, some of whom had never been there before, to literally defend our Constitution. And I emphasize the importance of the mission and let them know that both Susan and I would be praying for each one of them every day, that they would have a successful mission, that they would be safe and their families would be safe, and they'd come back to us back here home in Montana as soon as possible.
Yeah, do you know, when are they expected to come back? How long will they be
It'll be later this week. They're there for a short-term mission to provide really police protection at the Capitol, along with, understand, this total force is about 25,000 people from the state National Guards all over the country. Montana's a proud participant in that. We're going to ensure that there's a safe transfer of power back there, and they'll do their work, and then they'll come home later this week.
Are you concerned at all about anything happening at the Capitol where you are in Helena tomorrow?
We've been having meetings here as well. I look back on the last week. We've had protests up here, but I think, the nation's capital could have taken a page out of Montana's book. It's fine for people to, exercise their First Amendment rights. They did it here at the Capitol peaceably. We have taken some preparations here to make sure if there is an issue, we can get right on it. But I'm not. We'll be prepared. Let me say that.
Okay.
One of our questions is the XL pipeline seems to be in danger now. What do you say to President-elect Biden and the Democrats? Montanans could lose jobs over this. What are your thoughts?
Well, I'm a supporter of the XL pipeline. I think pipelines are the most economical and environmentally sensitive way to get fuels to market. This pipeline has faced obstacles continually. And I would just say to President-elect Biden, stand down. We need to build this pipeline, and we need to get it built now.
Any idea how many jobs that will affect here in Montana if it does go away?
It's significant. Just the tax revenues from the pipeline are about $150 million a year in rural counties. That money would be used primarily for schools and law enforcement and infrastructure. It would be a huge economic boon in addition to the jobs that it would create.
It sounded like, though, hearing them talk about it, like it was a done deal. It's not going to happen. How confident are you that it could still happen?
Well, there's been a lot of money invested. Permits have been issued. If it is shut down, I'm sure our courts are going to hear quite a few cases. And in fact, we'll do everything in our power to make sure that we don't have federal overreach here in the state, which would not be good for Montana.
We're talking with Governor Greg Gianforte. Just a couple more questions for you, Governor, if we can.
Sure.
One, I had some folks reach out to me, and this is clearly near and dear to their heart, and I'm not going to go through the whole email that they sent me, but is the Montana Department of Child and Protective Services on your radar at all? Because they were basically asking if, is anything going to change with that department?
Absolutely. In fact, we'll be announcing either today or tomorrow a new agency head for the Department of Health and Human Services, which oversees child protective services. And I don't know if folks know this, but Montana has the second highest number of kids per capita in foster care in the entire country. And I know, talking to grandparents and parents, their voices haven't always been heard. So we do need to fix that. And I will say the underlying issue that often drives Child Protective Services getting involved with families is this meth epidemic. And one of the things I prioritized in our budget, we rolled this out within a few days after getting into office, is we work to use a number of different resources, and it's really the largest investment area in our budget. I promised to hold the line on new spending, but we increased spending for addiction recovery services, mental health, and community-based programs. And it'll be almost $24 million a year. And it won't be bigger government. It's going to be community-based programs that are going to help create healthier families and allow individuals who may have been subject to addiction to get back on their feet and become productive members of society.
That's good to hear. All right, final question for you, Governor. Besides COVID, obviously that's a big deal right now. But what do you think as governor now? And I know you've only been there for a few weeks, but I'm sure you've been watching. What do you think is the most pressing issue for Montana and Montanans, other than COVID, that we're facing right now?
Well, it's jobs. I mean, we don't have enough good-paying jobs. And as a consequence, so many Montana families, they raise their kids here. We export beef, we export grain, and we export our kids. So as a business guy, this is my mission. We got to get through COVID together safely and get back on our feet and get back to normal. But then we've got to help entrepreneurs, small business owners create more good-paying jobs so that our kids and our grandkids can prosper right here in Montana. All
right. I like to hear you talk about jobs because we're in radio. You never know when you're going to have a job, so we may need another job. So.
Yeah, and if something happens, you're going to be our first call, okay?
Okay, I'm here.
All right. It's been Governor Greg Gianforte. Thank you so much for your time today. And, again, anything we can do for you here in Bozeman, you let us know.
Okay, great.